Out there on the racetrack now, 39 drivers total here in your KA100 junior class as Ty Fisher and Chase Gassiet-Lee are into the tram lines at a crawling pace, and they're getting set to lead us to the green flag here. And the green flag is looking set to go out, and we are racing here in KA100 junior. Again, that inside line getting a really good jump. Vidmontien's already up to second. Peyton Westcott, she's way off the racetrack and into the escape route.
Yeah, a couple other drivers off onto the racetrack as well. Forrest Adams up in the fourth already, going bottom of the racetrack. Vanchev, a good move there on Nate Golseth. Golseth has dropped a couple of spots, and there's the 851 machine spun around on the exit, on the entry of turn number 4.
Yeah, one driver there turned around on the exit. You see all the smoke in the air from those engines firing up, and Enzo Vidmontien on the inside of turn number 8. A lot of battling further back in the field as well. You see Malquit Jaramillo looking to work his way up. Still shuffling. Vanchev on the inside of Golseth. Getting over-under there by Max Cristea, very Dutch Westbrook-like there. That corner definitely going to be one of the ones to watch when we get into that final lap. But for the second time around, it's going to be Enzo Vidmontien who leads us away. Ty Fisher going to cross the line in second. There's Gassiet-Lee in third, and this group of Mad Max Weiland, Forrest Adams, and Travis Pettit are going to look to get themselves further and closer to the top 3. Martinez just right behind them, but here comes Forrest Adams on the inside of 4. He gets clear that time by.
Well, here's the name of the game, right? We've seen throughout the heats and the super heat as well, this KA junior class has the tendency to implode if they fight too hard, and that's what we've seen many times before all year long, especially with Enzo Vidmontien at the helm. You know, whenever he starts defending, even if it's early, he does a very good job of strategically, placing his go-kart very nicely. As Weiland, we saw make a move on Forrest Adams. He likes to be the one that leads his group. He's done so very well here. So he's up to 4th. That second train is led by Max, obviously. Forrest Adams, Max Weiland ahead of him. Pettit, Ty Fisher's teammate. Race Lab TV has done a great job all weekend long. And here we go, once again, just like last lap. Forrest to the inside, he's through. Pettit's going to try to sneak his way on Weiland. They're going to go side by side and slow themselves up the hill all the way through turn number 3. Martinez behind them, and the more they fight, that third group's not going to make it one long train for P2 as Pettit with a half spin through the pole corner. That's a scary place to almost lose the go-kart. Good on him to keep it facing the right direction, but unfortunately for him, that's going to put him way outside the chances of a top 5 here.
Yeah, that's for sure there. Alex is Gassiet looking on Ty Fisher. He gets clear in an 8. Everybody else still battling. Golseth gets through on Cristea. As Cristea looking to set up the over-under, he gets it done. So Cristea's back ahead of Nathan Golseth, who is currently the fastest driver on the racetrack, 50.805 so far for Nate Golseth, as he's just behind Cristea, behind Abador Martinez as well, and everybody else further back still battling it out. Westcott, she's not too far off of Antonino. Cristea fading low, back in a line, but this driver looking to get himself further up inside of the top 10. He sits 9th at the moment. In your top 3, the battling obviously did kick off early on, but kind of settled down at this stage of the race, Alex. You're 5 laps in, you try and get the moves early on. You try to take advantage of what's given to you at the start, but after that, you can't find yourself driving desperate. And that's one of the things that we talk about a lot. Desperate driving is what leads to the crashing and what leads to, you losing a whole lot of time. And for Max Weiland, that was a really good move to kind of pick and choose. He was a lot quicker than Adams that time by, so he wanted to get through. He got it done, and now he's up to the 4th spot, chasing down your top 3. And for the drivers like Vanchev, who as well has been super quick this weekend, and find yourself further back, he got what he needed at the start of the race, and now he's working his way up. All this being said, why don't we look at your biggest movers and shakers so far in this one. Ty Fisher obviously down 3. Vanchev up 4. We were saying he was working his way up the field here, Alex.
Yeah, Vanchev up 4, like you said, one of the biggest movers in this one is Adams. We got the curbing there in 4, side by side on Max Weiland there. So once again, these two drivers, this is great racing for us to watch. But if you're on the fence line, if you're Magic Card, if you're Brandon Druskrak Racing, you're looking at this and saying, what are we doing, guys? We need to go up and fight for the top 3. Vanchev says, what? I want another spot. Make it 5 up on the order for Vanchev. Martinez through. Adams going to drop back behind Max Cristea as well, and behind Forrest Adams, it's actually your biggest mover of the entire race, John Antonino, up to 10th, up 7 spots.
Yeah, this kid is absolutely flying here, and I'm sure Chase Jones and Race Laborante watching on from home as they look on as their driver looks to work his way further inside of the top 10. He's currently sitting 9th here, right behind Forrest Adams, but again, Alex, we talked about the battling early on in this race, and when you had Weiland and those drivers so far ahead from that second group and you see them fighting, you kind of scratch your head a little bit because you're allowing more drivers to close down the gap, and that's going to move you even further back in the field, like what's happening with Forrest Adams here. He was all the way and further up inside of this group. He was even, I believe, 5th at the moment, and then he fell all the way back to 8th, I think even outside of the top 10 now. So just kind of a head scratcher there to be battling so early in this race as well, because they're just losing a whole lot of time here as Golseth still battling it out here in the mid-pack with right behind him looks to be Edgar Rodriguez as well in that Telcel OTK. So he looks to go on Golseth here shortly. They're working together quite nicely, but the top 3, again, that's one of the things that they aren't doing. They're not fighting all too much. You saw Gasly obviously wanting control of the race. Vidmontien was not going to let that happen, and then definitely closed down his gap there. So it's all definitely changing up here just a little bit, and you see the differences there on the left-hand side of your screen. Just 2 seconds back to Max Weiland. A second back to Max Weiland, and your top 3 is still very much in tow and pushing each other along. So they're doing a good job to work together, and for Weiland and company, Vanchev as well right behind them, they want to get themselves into the fight. This is where they kind of calm down, tone it down just a little bit. Cristea going to go on Martinez here, and they're going to now look to work their way up in the field, because that's exactly what they need here halfway through this race.
Yeah, we saw a good move there from Max Cristea. Further back, we saw Golseth and Edgar Rodriguez get around Forrest Adams. So unable to stop the bleeding right now for the Brandon Druskrak Racing, Mike Doty Racing entry there for Forrest Adams. Unfortunate for him. I mean, it's just one of those things where if you get stuck in the middle of a battle and you can't get out of it, it just continues that way throughout the entirety of the event. And that just seems to be the case for these KA juniors. Here goes Chase Gasly. He feels as though right now his Coastal Link entry is quick enough to get to the point here. He wants to lead. Fisher on the outside of Vidmontien. He's on the wrong side of the racetrack there as you go through the fast left-right chicane there, turns 5 and 6. So that's going to slow these 3 down slightly. Further back, Weiland and Vanchev have calmed down, and they've actually reeled in your leader. So I think shortly here, Caleb, we're going to have a 5-car train, maybe even more. As further back, I think Max Cristea as well is an absolute rocket, headed by John Antonino. That train is continuing to grow, and Antonino now up over 10 spots in this one.
Yeah, John Antonino is absolutely flying here in this one. He's gained a whole lot of spots so far and continues to gain lap by lap. This kid here who sits in the 6th spot now, he's been a contender all year long across junior categories. He was very strong at the Stars Championship Series, at the United States Pro Kart Series as well so far this year, and at the SCUSA Pro Tour as well with that entire MPG contingency, and he's done a good job this weekend being the lone driver in the field. Doesn't have his teammates like Jackson Deal and others to kind of help him out this weekend, but he's doing it great on his own, and it's been an up and down weekend for Antonino, to say the least here. He started way back in the order. He was almost starting last in all the heat races, and when you spoke to him yesterday, he was saying that he wasn't sure if it was a kart or if it was a driver, and today it seems like the driver and the kart are absolutely flying here, so he's getting himself closer and closer to the lead group here. And when you talk about closing down gaps, Max Weiland has definitely done so. He's now on the rear bumper of Chase Gasly. Vanchev there as well, and Ty Fisher knows it. He wants to get away on the inside of turn number 1. He's clear on Vidmontien, who slots back into the 2nd spot. Gasly looked to go as well, just couldn't get it done here in turn number 3.
Yeah, I mean, if you're just tuning in, you may think it's the final lap of the event, but there's still 12 laps to go here in this KA Junior Final, but it begins now. The gloves are officially off, and, we may have thought that these drivers, wised up a little bit and said, you know what, let's make it a 3-car breakaway, but the moment you begin the battle, the moment you do this right now, the bottom of the racetrack, Fisher, Antonino around the outside of turn 8, finds grip where no one else has all weekend. And Vidmontien going to throw it at the inside, a 2-for-1 Dutch Westbrook style. John Antonino to the point.
This kid is on rails here, and for the first time all weekend long, he was nowhere at the start. Vidmontien is sent into the pits here after rim riding that entire runoff area there on that curbing, and finds himself out of contention here at the Iame Grand National Championships. Chase Gasly is off. What is going on in this race here, Alex?
Well, this is just classic, right? This is what I meant, where it begins to implode halfway through this event here, and Ty Fisher is one of the only drivers that was in that lead group that has maintained his position. Antonino up over 15 positions. Further back, Max Cristea. He qualified outside your top 10. He's up into 3rd, and wow, that's a late fade for Antonino. Fisher thought about a move further back. Here's Edgar Rodriguez, Forrest Adams. They have seen new life now in this KA Junior main event. They were seemingly out of it. Behind them, I think we might have seen Nate Golseth try to make a move there as well on Edgar Rodriguez, but this group will continue to grow as they battle harder. Vanchev defending on Max Weiland. All the while, MPG and John Antonino leads this group. Weiland fades slightly for 3rd, but thought better of it. This is a huge group here, all the way down to at least 10th position, maybe further in this one. So let's look at your movers once again. Antonino up 16 spots, make it 15 or 14 as he loses a couple here. Fisher's going to go through Vanchev's going to go through as well as he runs him out of road potentially here in a turn number 5. But Antonino is going to hold that line slightly. Vanchev up on the curbing. That's a scary point to go 4 tires in the air.
Yeah, everybody bumper to bumper and getting their elbows out here as Vanchev going to defend from Weiland. Not going to defend enough, though. Cristea sets up the over-under move. That was picture perfect there for Max to set that up nicely. And you have there a couple of other drivers still continuing to fight. Rodriguez, Golseth, and Amador Martinez. And that's allowing Westcott to close down her gap there. She's at the tail end of this group as Golseth fades low in a 12. And here comes Isaac Malquit, Naomi Garcia, Jaramillo. Westcott not too far off. She's also locked in a duel here further back in the mid-pack. And she just fell outside of the top 10. And the driver that was able to get themselves up there was Chase Gasquet, who's down 9 spots. And Antonino, you saw him when he was getting passed on this back straightaway. He wasn't too happy there. Put his hand up in the air. He just wants to get a move on and wants to work his way forward. So look for Antonino to kind of work with Ty Fisher here a little bit and push each other forward and further away from all this mid-pack scrum that's going on here further back with Weiland, Cristea, Martinez. You have Vanchev in this group, and as well for Rodriguez, who finds himself well inside of the top 10 now. In the 7 spot, Golseth finally get himself up there as well. In the 8 spot, you have Forrest Adams and Gasquet Lee again. I mean, a lot of your front runners have really just fallen off the board after incidents and contacts, and that's just all due to the really early racing that we saw in this race, Alex. And that's stuff that can happen. That's stuff that we expect to happen whenever you kind of start defending and blocking early on in this race.
Yeah, well, at this point in this main event, 8 laps to go here. It's still anybody's race. Right now, it's Fisher and Antonino. Last time around, though, the fastest car on the racetrack was Max Weiland, the only one of the 49.9s last time around. So that magic machine is finding a little bit of magic here in this KA junior class, and he's closed that gap now to less than 2 kart length to the MPG Motorsports machine. Further back, Cristea, Vanchev, Martinez, Rodriguez. It's about a 7 car train, almost 8 if Forrest Adams can close that gap and bring Golseth and Gasquet Lee with him. We know how quick that Coastal Link machine is with Chase Gasquet Lee at the helm, but it's going to take a lot of work for him to climb up 9 spots and potentially become a Grand National Champion winner here. Crossing the stripe to finish lap number 14. Now we're starting lap number 15, and here comes Max Weiland. They're climbing the hill towards 3, and down the back straightaway we go. Antonino hasn't made a move all race, but I think he senses it and he has to go. Here he goes, inside and through, a clean move. That's what you need to do if you're 2 leaders.
Yeah, Antonino felt like it was time, and then rightfully so when you have drivers like Max Weiland and Max Cristea starting to close in, as well as Alexander Vanchev. Everybody's going to want to get up there. They're going to want to be in prime position to strike towards the end of this race, and Ty Fisher not going to attempt that move, but that's going to allow everybody else to start stacking and packing here. And Weiland just at the tail end here of Ty Fisher. You have Cristea there as well, Vanchev, everybody inside of the top 7 within a shot. Then you go back to Forrest Adams as well, who's back in the 8th spot at the moment, looking to close down his gap. Chase Gasquet Lee's in the 9th, and then Nathan Golseth in the 10th. They're all kind of spread out just that little bit, Alex, but again, if they stay in tow, they stay in line and stay pushing, they can definitely be there as this race continues to ramp up. Everybody's setting personal best lap times. Martinez set a personal best. Rodriguez set a personal best as well. They were both 2/10 quicker than your top 5.
Yeah, at what point do you begin to completely race? I know we've seen lead changes and we've seen passes for 3rd, 4th, and further on back, but that's just part of it. But at some point, we have to start doing this. Antonino bottom of the racetrack, Fisher and Weiland falls through. Vanchev says, you know what, if you're going to open the door, Max, I'm going to go through. So move Vanchev up to P4. Cristea's through, and then behind them, that's a good battle between Martinez and Rodriguez. You don't want to fight too much if you're Amador because you don't want to lose track of the top 5. But here we go. Edgar Rodriguez is going to make his decision easy because he's going to go around him. So move Edgar Rodriguez up into the top 6, and you can see 1 move is all it takes. You lose a couple of kart lengths to this lead group. It shouldn't matter too much just because of the fact that we know that these top 5 are going to battle.
Yeah, everybody's starting to battle here, and you see everybody. Ty Fisher going to the low side. Antonino around the outside. Weiland sets up the over-under move quite perfectly, and Antonino's back up to 2nd. It looked like Fisher wanted to close the door there just a little too late. Antonino was already there, and that allowed Max Weiland to set up that over-under move. We talk about the rule of 3. Antonino going to the bottom. He gets clear on Weiland, who slots back to 2nd, and more drivers start to join this lead group. Golseth at the end, Adams, Gasquet Lee, Martinez, everybody there, as Cristea going on the inside of Vanchev, who loses a spot there to Rodriguez, who's able to get through. Vanchev not wanting to waste any time. He wants to go back. Won't be able to get it done.
Yeah, look at this. Here we go. 5 laps to go for John Antonino and Max Weiland. they have a decent advantage over Ty Fisher. He's got himself back into that third spot. Max Cristea has maintained that fourth place position. Rodriguez now fifth. Look at this train of go-karts behind them. It goes all the way down to, I believe, what looks to be Hamarillo there, or maybe even Peyton Westcott down that 13th spot. We saw Vidmontien skateboard off the racetrack and almost into the pit lane earlier on. His progress forward has halted at 17th. If they battle hard enough, he might have a chance to be in the lead group. Too far back to make anything happen here, but Vanchev making things happen for himself and Sody Kart USA. We know the pace is there in that KA package. He's a shootout winner, 2 nights ago, and so for Alexander Vanchev, the pace and the charge forward continues, but we saw the move from Gassi Lee. He was 10th a couple laps ago. He's in the top 5 now.
Yeah, and everybody going to start to battle here. Does Max Weiland go in a 1? He's going to wait here, and Fisher going to wait as well as Chase Gassi Lee now at the helm of the second group, looking to close down the gap to the top 4. And I mean, they're doing a good job. Let's compare the lap times here really quickly. And actually, that's not, because Max Weiland's going to the point of the field. Ty Fisher goes up to second. Antonino slots back in the line, and I was going to compare lap times, but Alex, there's no need for that now because they're going to lose a whole lot of time with all this passing, and that's going to allow Gassi Lee and company to start to close down their gap to this top 4, and this is going to help them out as well. As Fisher on the inside of 8, he gets clear. Weiland stuck on the outside, side by side there with Max Cristea as well, as Weiland's able to get clear, but Chase Gassi Lee officially arriving on the scene now and on the rear bumper of Max Cristea.
Here we go. We're getting ready to cross the stripe to see 3 laps to go here for Race Lab TV and Ty Fisher. The pace has been there. He won the KA Junior Shootout 2 nights ago and was $1,000 richer. Now he's trying to add a Grand National title to his name. Further back, Forrest Adams around Malquit gets pushed through by Amador Martinez. That was the fight for about 8th on the racetrack. A little bit further back now. Antonino's going to go around the outside potentially of Fisher. Has to slot back in line with Weiland in third. Gassi Lee thought about going up the inside of Max Cristea, but the door was immediately shut. Like you said, Caleb, the more they begin to battle, as Fisher drops a tire there, he's going to have to go low now because his run out of 6 was compromised here. Late on the brakes for Fisher, around the outside for Max Cristea. He's going to get run out of road, though.
Yeah, definitely getting run out of road, drops the tire into the dirt. Going to have the inside line, though, on Vanchev. So that definitely fell into his hands. And for Gassi Lee as well, was on the inside of Vanchev, who gets run wide there onto the escape route. And everybody cycling their way through. Vanchev stuck on the outside. And again, Adams looking to get clear. But this time around, 2 sticks are up in the air. And officially crunch time for Antonino, who goes up to the point of the field and up in the air. 2 tires went up. We saw the bottom of the go-kart there for Rodriguez, who went airborne for just a second. He's still battling, and we have about 10 to 15 cars in this lead train as Antonino's leading us away.
Fisher, what a move around the outside of Max Weiland, who's generous enough to give him room there. Fisher now back to P2. Antonino, we saw a move down in turn number 1 on the inside of Fisher. He left the door wide open there for the MPG driver, but maybe, just maybe, Ty Fisher's in the spot that he would like to be in P2. The entire top 6 goes to the bottom of the racetrack. Nobody trying the over-under. There's too many go-karts to count here. We see further back, Naomi Garcia going off the racetrack. Vidmontien's actually back in the lead group like I had mentioned after skateboarding off the racetrack in the midway point of this one. Nonetheless, though, one more time around here for your KA Juniors and for John Antonino.
Yeah, you say Vidmontien's in the lead group, but so is everybody else here, Alex. Is Antonino going to start to defend? Fisher looking to set up an over-under coming up the hill. Antonino to the bottom of the racetrack needs to be careful with how wide he washes out. Fisher gets a nose down low. He's at the bottom of the racetrack, and again, Antonino just washed out way too wide. He's around the outside. Weiland going side by side.
Weiland's going to run him out of road there and move Max Weiland up into that second place spot and maybe in prime position to make something happen, get creative against Ty Fisher. He inevitably goes to the bottom of the racetrack here. Who goes high, who goes low? Fisher low, Max Weiland low, round the outside goes Antonino, a little bit too wide there. They're side by side through 9.
Yeah, and here Ty Fisher needs to be careful, can't get over-undered as there goes Antonino side by side. Ty Fisher is within a best shot to get his maiden national race victory. One more corner to go. It's been a long time in the making, to say the least, for the Lime Green TB kart, but the wait is over today. Ty Fisher is an Iame Grand National Champion.
Race Lab TV and Ty Fisher